We're going to hear from our featured speaker, and of course, then we're going to have some Q&A. Then we're going to jump up and go into the lobby, and we're going to have delicious lunch together. So we're going to lunch, we're going to network, we're going to talk with the speakers, ask more questions, stimulate each other's minds, fill up our bellies and our minds so we keep getting re-energized. And then right at 12:30 sharp, Luke will be back. About a half an hour to do all of that I just said. But Luke will be back 12:30 sharp. He'll just meet us right here in the lobby, and then we'll do the quick tour of the Innovation Lab. And then you'll be on your way around 1 o'clock-ish. Okay, does that sound good? What everyone was hoping and expecting? Okay, great. Okay, now, Roberto Martinez. I just love all our speakers. I have affection and fondness for everyone because they come from all these different backgrounds. Roberto, I have to tell you, is a recent graduate of the BizFed Advocacy Academy. How many of you participated so far? Look at this room. What a great room. So we run regular cohorts of an advocacy academy at BizFed and BizFed Institute, teaching, equipping, arming, leveling up people wherever they're at in their professional life, whether they're a business owner, operator, they're an executive, they're starting something, or they're 30 years into whatever they're trying to accomplish. But how do we collectively become better advocates for ourselves, for our business, for our mission, our cause, to do what? Get things done, right? So that's what the Advocacy Academy does. We run through cohorts. Many of you are here. But Roberto's a graduate, which is like full circle. I just love it. He's an amazing professional, too, and I'll tell you about him in a minute. But I do like how we connect dots around here. So Roberto Martinez, entrepreneur, speaker, educator, specializing in digital marketing, entrepreneurship, AI, and technology. He's the founder of Braven Agency and SMRTS, and SMARTS. It's a good acronym. He's led over 500 workshops and trained organizations like just little tiny companies, Google, USC, Amazon. He was appointed to Los Angeles Entrepreneur in Residence, and he launched LA Optimized to digitalize small businesses. Google California Coach, a DEIA awardee by the LA Times. He also teaches at Cal State University Long Beach, where he lives in Long Beach. Go Beach! And he's empowering communities and bridging the digital divide through innovation, inclusive technology, and programs. Plus, you're just going to like his delightful style of how he's going to share some good tidbits with us. Roberto.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Yes, fantastic. I appreciate your kind words. My grandma always said, never get in the way of lunch and folks, so I'll try to be as brief as possible, no matter how long it takes. All right, with that, let's talk a little bit about what we are here for. The marriage between AI, big data, i.e. cloud, and cybersecurity. And so as we're walking through this space, and you guys heard these amazing speakers that are specialists in their space, what we really want to understand is, what does this mean for us as entrepreneurs, small businesses, corporate America, and how do we create the future together as an ecosystem? So the vision is, how do we leverage these multiple tools to come together, interact with each other, and help us grow and scale, so that some of those concerns that I forgot who presented on the survey aren't real, the fears that we have, the adoptions rates that we're not really adopting, making sure we push back against some of that digital dividedness that happened in the 1990s with the internet. So now with AI and 5G, what does that mean? How do we protect ourselves? We were just having an amazing conversation a little bit earlier around cybersecurity. A lot of folks are going to be coming from different countries here. How do we protect our IP? Okay, I'm not going to touch on this. You guys know who I am. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to talk to me afterwards. Tracy already embarrassed me, so let me move on from that slide. And let's talk about our journey today, the digital foundation. What does the new world look like? How do we leverage digital transformation with AI and 5G? And then we're going to talk about some real-life examples that you can implement to wrap all this together and make it real for us. And then we're going to have some quick takeaways. With that, let's talk about your digital foundation. We're all attached to the hip on our phones. What is the first thing y'all did when you woke up today? Did you reach out to your loved ones, hug them and kiss them, right? We love you so much. No, we did not. We reached for this little device and checked out who messaged us, who called us, who texted us, who liked our post. And so we're attached to the hip with this. And that is what 5G is all about. It's realizing that 5G is everywhere. And what's really important is IoT as well, the information of things. How do you move within the space and then creates data? But data without interpretation is useless. Well, guess what? What do you have now? You have AI. AI can go through millions and millions, if not billions of pieces of information and make sense and tell stories with that data piece. But we have to protect ourselves. How do we go about doing that? With the new reality of cybersecurity. So those are the three pillars that I want you to think about that the panel did an amazing job speaking towards. And as we do this, we want to leverage the IG piece to understand how we can create experiences that are organic, that are real for our end users, for our prospective customer bases. And how do we do that? By interpretation of the data. So what is 5G? Really, it's just a better way of gathering information. As we're more connected, now more than ever, the easiest, most case study referred way of 5G is all around logistics. And we're a couple blocks away, well, a couple miles now, because I usually present in Long Beach, a couple miles away from the port of Long Beach to port of LA as well. How do we move through that logistics? How do we create a seamless experiences that lowers the friction level of our products and our services? So if you're in that space, 5G is critical, mission critical for the success of your company. But that doesn't mean that it lives alone. What happens is we upload it to the cloud, right? And that's the last slide right here. We upload that information to the cloud. So cloud technology is nothing new. We used to have these big servers back in the days, right? Huge spaces. Now we're going back to that because of AI. We'll talk about that later if you guys want outside this conversation. But as we're gathering all this data, we have to make sense of it. And it's very expensive, and we have data engineers that go through it and churn through that data, make sense of that data as it's going through your information. But now with AI, I think our friend from AWS was mentioning this, Leo, right? Leo was the one that's saying, how does AI work? Well, we train the model on data, and there's definitely bias because it depends on where you train the model. We do this whole training around Google, and we tell folks from Latin America, if you're from Colombia, and I say, arroz con, folks say pollo, which means chicken. But if you're from Mexico, you say arroz con, and they say rice. Arroz con leche, they say milk. So it depends the data that you give that model to learn from. And so the beauty of what we're talking about right now is that's your data, your information, and you have to learn how to monetize that information. Now with AI, we can leverage these huge data sets with AI that could churn through this information very quickly and give you informed business decision in real time. You do need a data engineer to filter through some of that and understand the friction that naturally exists as you're building this out for your business. And that's the third piece. Okay, so we did this, we figured out that we have 5G, the world is connected now more than ever, and all this data is coming through our pipelines, and we're saving and securing it, and we're using AI to interpret that data, telling stories with numbers, right? But we have to protect it now. And that is where cybersecurity takes a huge place. And we don't think about cybersecurity until it's an afterthought, right? Until it happens. Guess who's most at fault when it comes to cybersecurity and bridges in your pieces of information? 87% Stanford Business School did a recent study as 2023. The number one cause for breaches in data are you guys, humans, right? It's not the security piece. So creating systems within your organization, training them how to use the system, training them how to interpret and manage the data, giving access is extremely important. We have a whole workshop within the Google program that talks about how to leverage and manage this, because the truth is, it's your, and we kind of buried the lead here, it's your new currency. Y'all, especially mid-sized companies, can monetize your data, not just AWS, not just the Googles of the world, not just the face metas of the world. Y'all have the power because you guys have huge data sets that you just don't know how to interpret. And we need to understand how to interpret that, and we need to know how to protect that, because we cannot sustain a lawsuit as a small to medium-sized business. Bigger organizations can. All right, applications, we already know this, untethered selling. Wherever you are, there you are, right? So we can sell wherever we want. We want to see which place is the best place. We want to understand how our point of sale system works. I love this model because it really speaks to our local business community. I love my taco trucks. I love the taco food culture around LA. But guess what? They can now better understand that information that's coming into the point of sale system. That point of sale system can inform them how to take informed business decisions, what's selling more, what's selling less in real time, and then guide them for what? For the logistics of their operations, which is purchasing of the products, of the vegetables, of the foods that they need. And it's a win-win-win because POS never goes offline. We're always getting that information. It goes up to the cloud. We inject our engineering into that pipeline to make better sense in real time of what's needed and what's not needed. If this particular location is valuable for us or that particular location is more valuable when it comes to revenue, because these folks are operating on the margin, just like we all are. Make sense? All right. I'm the one-person marketing team now more than ever. I see some marketers in the room. I see some fellow alum from the amazing BizFed organization. We're all marketers in some sense nowadays. Leveraging these solutions, understanding how to sell the product, how to create the content, and how to make sure that content speaks to our customer base. All that data is there for you guys to access. Do not give it away. Leverage that data to make informed business decisions. How do we go about doing that? Well, I mean, I'm not going to be a homer and talk about Google Analytics. There's a lot of different channels that allow you to interpret what that data means, create the content that's relevant. And I really have a love-hate relationship with the AI generative content because I think we're getting burned out. I think we want more of a human connection. And I think, people call it AI slop nowadays, but there's a place for it. We still can't get away from the human in the loop, which is we create the content. We're the human that says, does this speak to my brand, my ability to communicate value to my end user? And then we share it with our customers. With AI, we can do that very quickly, very efficiently, but we have to protect ourselves with the cybersecurity component and making sure that that data isn't being lost. I am almost done, so don't worry about that 5-minute mark. All right. So how do we design multiple cloud-based technologies? How do we integrate those multiple cloud-based technologies? The security solution, for those of us who are in the security space, SSO, identifying access management. But what's important is biometrics, the one-click access, and giving and leaving operational solutions to our frontline staff, which is you guys. You guys are the frontline staff when it comes to cybersecurity. So creating that POS SOP system, standard operating procedure, that sounds really boring, but it's very useful and necessary nowadays. And nowadays with AI, it could create it for you very quickly, very efficiently, and in a timeline that's very tight, especially as you're securing these larger contracts because of the FIFA and the Olympics coming down the pipeline. All right, with that, we already know 15% of operations improve with cloud. So I'm just going to be a salesman right now and realize you have to identify this. We did a study back in 2023 at Google, and we asked entrepreneurs like yourselves, small businesses and medium-sized businesses, just like y'all, what's the biggest concern? And they said, we're afraid. And what we came back and said is like, you shouldn't be afraid of AI and 5G or how AI affects your industry. You should be afraid of the businesses who are getting in front of you and leveraging AI for that scale. And so we have to take on, as a community and as an ecosystem, to come together so that we make sure that digital divide doesn't happen again, and we scale and we use these technologies for purpose. All right, with that, some quick takeaways, why it matters. It's 360, right? We were just talking to my friend Mayra with a Y, right? Mayra, omni-channel marketing, right? They're always around. You're walking. Have you guys seen, what's that movie with Tom Cruise where he's walking and they're showing his face everywhere? That reality is going to happen. I am 100% certain. And so that's happening now. You're getting that through 5G and the cloud. We have to make sure we own our data. I can't stress this enough. I think that's the 5th time I said it. We have to own our data, but not just own the data, leverage that data to create sound business decisions, and we protect ourselves with the cybersecurity component. All right, so obviously some takeaways. You all have access to this document. No one reads copy nowadays, so y'all get this later on. With that, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Feel free to scan that QR code if you want the deck. And Tracy. Oh, Q&A. Fantastic. Let's do this. All right.
Make sure we got 1 and 2.
I hope you guys aren't hungry, because I could talk.
Hello.
It seems like every organization I'm connected to, I keep seeing you. Very
I appreciate
interesting.
it. I'm stalking you.
That's good. So you said something about how do you own the data? So as a business, let's take it as a business, what am I looking for in owning my data?
Well, you're looking for your nodes or your channels by which you consume and capture that data. And that's very easy. The first one, you'll start small and then you go big, is your point of sale system and your website. And those are interchangeable because some of us who are product-based companies that sell online have to capture some of that data, and we have to understand what we give away when we sign off on our rights. So I would say if you have a point of sale system, definitely review, definitely understand that data. Now they run AI on top of those POS systems, so understanding what that means for you as a small business. Obviously, your website, we have Google Analytics. I just gave literally 30 minutes ago to give a presentation on Google Analytics and your website and how to leverage that data. You could download that data. A lot of that privacy rights you have to review and make sure you have. And it depends how much traffic you're getting. When I mean traffic is visits to your site, visits, sales, numbers. If it's 100 folks visiting your site, you can't really do much with that. But as you get to the scale, the 1,000, the 10,000, the 100,000 of visitors, you can make a lot of good informed business decisions. Download that data and put it through a system like an analytical tool to make sense of what that data means. There's other points like social media is a huge one. I don't know. We're all becoming content creators. I don't care what you all say. You guys have to be in front of a camera nowadays and just get comfortable with that reality. But you want to own that piece and figure out how much you can capture and then create a business intelligence division, no matter how small you are. Many people, when I tell them, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, I'm not this massive multinational corporation. Guess what? You're going to become one. Because if you don't use that data, you are the data, right? Yeah.
Thank you. My question is similar. However, what I'm wondering is how basically your creativity is protected. For example, and I've worked as auditing and VP finance and all of that. So first of all, a lot of people that I work with don't like, and I won't say the name, but like the online accounting systems where they feel like they don't own their data anymore. They're paying a monthly fee. The other part is if you are a writer or someone on the creative aspect, how are you protected? For example, if you're using chat, I'll just say Chat GPT since everyone uses it. If you're putting it in your idea for your book, how is it that you are protected so that that same idea that you put in isn't spread over several hundred people? Because, I mean, like if you do a Google search, it's out there for everybody. So you're getting the same data.
And I would just like to plug in Gemini 3.0 just dropped yesterday. So if you guys ever want to use that. No, to your point, that's a very valid point when it comes to Creative Commons and communal spaces and how we leverage and use some of that content, especially when it comes to AI content creation and how much rights we have to that. We don't have any rights when it comes to the creative AI content creation. But when it comes to your personal IP, you have a lot of rights. And that's one of the beauty of working with BizFed. We can mobilize as a community to protect it. There's been many lawsuits on this state and federal level when it comes to your own creative rights and pushing back. A lot of the models were trained on non-public content, I would say, in the nicest way. When it comes to practical pieces like Gemini, like ChatGPT, like Perplexity, there's actually an opt-in and opt-out option within the platform that you can toggle on and off. Now, do you trust that? It's up to you. I'm with you. I see your head nodding. But that's the level of comfort that you have yourself. And they claim that they're not teaching their model with your data. And they're very explicit. And they even have responsible website links where it talks about their view when it comes to corporate responsibility. I won't say the social piece, and more corporate responsibility pieces when it comes to your specific data. So for Gemini and for ChatGPT, they both have those capabilities of toggling off to protect your data. It's up to you. I don't know the trust level you have in multinational corporations. So I'll leave it at that. And I'm happy to take this conversation offline to talk about the creative piece because the creative economy is huge. Yeah. Okay, Tracy, thank you so much.
Amazing. I like the practical aspect, right? Roberto, and he is going to be here for lunch and the rest of the time, so you can corner him. Thank you so much. That was excellent. And my very favorite, Kevin Harbour. Of course, I've been checking in with him, sending him pictures, giving him updates on how we're doing, what's going on. And so happily, he sent this message that I'm going to share. So he said, "Thank you all for coming." This is from Kevin Harbour, the president of our BizFed Institute. "Thank you all for coming. Everyone wants to perform at the highest levels in their business, but not everyone is willing to elevate your thinking and come to events like this to make it happen. You represent the leadership in this regional economy that's committed to excellence in business. Our goal is to help you achieve by convening meetings like this that will give you insight and additional tools in your toolbox. Now, of course, he's going to give us a direction. Make sure you network with the panelists and with each other and know that I'm here with you in spirit." So I wanted to share that from Kevin. All right, so the good news is we've exchanged information, we've learned a lot. Now we're gonna just jump up, go have some lunch, continue networking, asking each other's questions, and at about 12:30, Luke will be back and we'll do our half-an-hour tour. All right, so let's press on at the front. Thanks.
And just want everybody to know, when you go over to the lunch, you're going to see there's two sides where the food is.